Okay. Hi, everybody. Little sound check. How's the sound? Is the volume all right, Suzanne? Yeah. Okay, good. You're in the back. That's why I asked. And we'll begin. Okay, good. Welcome, everybody. How are you doing? You ready to practice? Yeah. All right. So this is my regular Tuesday night class here pretty much every Tuesday night. You're welcome to drop in, come consistently, whatever works for you. Please know that you're welcome. And the class is called Releasing into Presence. And we play with different ways to do that through what are called the three avenues or the three doors of the body, the speech, which also includes the breath, and the mind. Body, speech, and mind is classic three doors of in Buddhist thought and practice. And so we do that through, when we talk about the body, we work with movement, position that leads us to kind of, from the Buddhist perspective, the ultimate physical posture, which is seated in stillness. So stillness. Could be standing in stillness too. And then through the speech category, we do that through mantra, through breathing exercises. And of course, we could also bring ethics into this in terms of the body, speech, and mind. Right speech, loving speech, not speaking divisive speech. That is also part of the path of kind of more ethical understanding of the body, speech, and mind as well. Just like with the body, going back to the body, not killing, not stealing. They say no sexual misconduct, which means don't break your own vows, don't break the vows of others. So those are all ethical understandings through the door of the body. Speech, as I mentioned, and that brings us to, from a meditative perspective, the final moment, which is when you're resting in meditation, you're in silence. Right? So settling the speech in its natural state. They say like a lute whose string has been cut, just resting in silence. No need to utter mantra, no need to utter prayers, no need to torture the nose with pranayama, and just resting in silence. Then through the door of the mind, that can be cultivated through philosophy, through learning, through meditation, of course, working with the mind to heal and train the mind, to be concentrated or have insight, wisdom. And of course, then that could also be explored through ethics in terms of like how we think. What is our motivation for what we do and say? Is it out of kindness or compassion and patience, or is it out of impatience or greediness or self-centeredness? So always checking our motivation. That's the door of the mind. And, not having mean thoughts, not having covetous thoughts, this wanting what's not yours, these types of things. And then one of those ethical practices are also to not have what are called wrong views, which is interesting. From a Buddhist perspective, wrong views are just simply not understanding cause and effect, not understanding, basically that's karma, that every action has a reaction, or not understanding the empty, interdependent nature of all reality. So when we have a correct understanding of nature and reality, then we respect karma, we respect impermanence, we understand things are always changing, whatever's born dies, that nothing is solidly existing in and of itself from its own side, but everything is interdependent. So there's a lot to explore through these 3 doors. So in this class, we do that, and we move a little usually, and we'll do that tonight in a moment. We chant a little. Sometimes we do pranayama, and then we meditate and we talk about Dharma. We think about Dharma. So those are the 3 doors: mantra, movement, and meditation. I call it the effect. Ma. So hopefully it has that effect on you. So a couple things before we start practicing is 2 announcements. One is that I'm doing an online course called The Foundations of Non-Dual Buddhist Tantra, and I'm starting a new cohort on May 14th. It meets every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30. And so that accommodates kind of the West Coasters, East Coasters, and the Europeans. So I know it's not easy for a lot of people, but if you do have to miss some, you can always watch the recordings. It's an ongoing, year-long cohort where we dive into the history, the philosophy of Buddhist Tantra, where it came from, how it overlaps with the Hindu expressions of Tantra. And then we do a lot of mantra recitation, because a synonym for the tantric vehicle, or the tantrayana, is the mantrayana, the mantric vehicle. So we do a lot of mantra chanting, cultivate our practice. So if you're curious about it, you can talk to me after class too. And the other announcement is that this weekend I'm doing a course on embodying Tara based on my book, Through Tibet House. And it's with Robert Thurman and Nina Rao, 2 really wonderful teachers. And so the 3 of us are teaming up. It's Friday night. It's Friday afternoon for us West Coasters. And Saturday and half day Sunday. So again, all of these things can be found on my website. So if you're ever curious about what's happening over here, just Google my name. But my website is just chandraeaston.com. Is there anything happening here this weekend that people should know about? Probably. You don't need. You can tell us at the end if you're not ready.
Just a second.
There is something interesting happening. It's the clowning.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Right.
Friday night we've got a sonic trance gong bath. Saturday, Plants for Protections with Rachel Budd, which plans to be a very interesting thing.
Uh-huh.
And Saturday night we have a Tuvan shaman coming in and
Oh
singing.
yes, a lot
So
of good
there's
stuff
that.
happening this weekend.
On Sunday we've got the Fool's Journey, which is tarot and clowning combined. A whole lot of movement. And that evening we have Soma Nidra with the eukaryotic portion of your body, whatever that is. I don't really know. And if you're up
Part of
for
your
it,
body you
circling
didn't
for
know.
BIPOC homies, but here we are.
So that's all Sunday. So check out the Alembic website. A lot of fun things.
Yep.
This is like the spiritual circus here, isn't it?
We are militantly pluralistic,
Yeah,
and if we haven't done it before, we will.
we will. Not if, but when. Great. All right, good. So let's stand up, and I'll guide you through some movement. And I'm going to ask Kevin, could you get me some water? I forgot my water bottle. All right, so my friends, it's nice to take care of the body before you sit. And I think probably a lot of us have been sitting in front of the computer today. So let's take the feet, I'll come forward so you can see me, and stand with the feet slightly turned out, the heels gently touching, right hand and then the left hand at your navel. We're going to do what's called the 3 churnings, the dasha chalanam, where we mobilize the joint sites within the body. So take some breaths, feel the breath descend, feel the belly rise and fall against the palms of the hands. Let the eyes rest at a downward cast past the angle of the nose. And let the weight be even between both feet. Relax the ridge of the shoulders, relax the face. Then bring the tip of the tongue to rest at the upper palate, the root of the top front teeth. Good. So if you're standing on a cushion, you're going to want to come forward a little bit on the cushion, because exhale now and bring the feet parallel, and then your right foot will step a little bit behind you, root into the left leg, and you can be on the wood too if that's preferable. And then start to rotate the ankle to the right, clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then stepping on the right foot, spread the toes, left foot slightly behind, and on toes pointed. And then to the left. 1, 2, counterclockwise. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Step evenly on both feet. Come back to the middle. Feet stay parallel, hip width distance apart. And now we come up to the upper body and we work our way down. Exhale, bring the chin down towards the chest and start to rotate towards the right shoulder, then up and around. We'll do 5 times in each direction. 2, 3. Relax the jaw. 4. Breathe into the belly. And 5. And reverse. 1, 2. Root into the feet. Feel your feet root into the earth. 4. And last one, 5. Come around to center. Then inhale, face to neutral. Exhale. And now the shoulders rolling forward, up, down, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Now inhale. Bring the back of the hands, interlace the fingers, and then bend the fingers. Bring the heel of the palms down. Now notice if the shoulders are up around the ears. Relax the shoulders. The hands are right in front of the eyes. And start to rotate. 1, 2. You're double timing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Relax the jaw. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now release the hands. Spiral the arms to your right, then the left, like helicopter arms. Good. And a little love tap with the front hand, the juncture of the shoulder and the chest. The back of the back hand taps the kidney points, the lower floating ribs. Let the head go too. Feel the whole spine turning from side to side. 8, 9, 10. Now release the hands and start the hips spiraling to the right. 1, 2. The whole upper body is really soft and relaxed. 3, 4. Good. 5. The arms are relaxed. 6, 7. Good. 8, 9 and 10, and reverse. 1, 2. Notice if you're holding tension in the jaw, the face, the throat, the shoulders, the chest, the back. Let everything relax. Feel like this is the beginning of your meditation. Just really mindful of the movement, the body sensations. 9 and 10. Good. Now bring the feet together. You're going to bend the knees from the back of the knees forward. Hands come down above the knees and circle with the knees. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep the feet, soles flat on the floor. Don't let the heels come up. 8, 9, and 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3. Relax the ridge of the shoulders. Look down towards the floor. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Inhale, step the feet hip width distance apart. Now you're going to wave the body. I'll make small waves, so don't necessarily copy me. My back issues, I've got to be careful, but you're going to bend and then ripple up through the spine. Let the head also get into the movement. 2. It's called sarpa, the snake. 3. Feel like you're seaweed in the ocean, flowing with the tide. 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing nice and even. 8, 9, and 10. Inhale this time. Raise the arms and let them flop. Let out a big sigh. And again. And one more time. Inhale. Good. Now make fists and drop them on the ridge of the shoulders. 2, 3. Let them go real heavy. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And then inhale, cross the arms. You're going to shake the chest and baw like a sheep. Bah. 2 more. Inhale, let it all out. All that stress, just let it out. Shake it out. Shake the lungs, the heart. Good. Step the feet together, hands together, bowing to each other. Couple more moves here. We're going to come onto the ground. And I come off to the side so you can see me. I hope the YouTubers can see. Basically, what we're going to do is come down in whatever way that's safe to you. We're going to come and sit on the heels. The knees are wide, wider than the hips. And you're putting your sits bones right at the heels. So you're really letting the weight descend upon the heels. So for people with more sensitive toes or ankles or knees, you can definitely do this on your zabuton. If you want more challenge, you can come off the zabuton. Good. So notice if you're kind of hiking forward. See if you can try not to, and really sit right on top of the heels. And if we were a full-on yoga class, I'd give you a lot of variations. The easiest variation, though, is to just come like this. If you can't do that, you can just do this. But I'd like to encourage you to stretch a little bit into this. Take the thumbs and wrap your fingers around the thumbs. The thumbs reflect the mind, so we're kind of corralling, focusing the mind. Relax the shoulders. Tailbone down, sits bones down. Yeah, it's good. Toe torture is good. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? This is really good for plantar fasciitis. Opens up the soles of the feet. No joke. No joke. All right, good. Then We'll come with the knees together. Point the toes. Sit on the heels. Bring your hands behind you a little bit. And then lean back. Bring the knees up and stretch the tops of the feet. So you're really trying to get the knees to come up as much as you can. So not like that, Ashley. You want to really sit on the heels.
Really going for
Stretch
torture.
my toes.
Yeah, like that. And then like stay there and then try to bring the knees up. Yeah, like that. Good. Yeah, breathe. Can you get your knees a little higher? Just the knees. Just the knees. It's all right. It's all right. Good. Okay, let's come down. Okay. So last week I showed this. I'll show it again for the people who weren't here. There's another option for seated meditation, and sort of the work that we did with our feet prepares you for it. It's called swastikasana. You know, in India, the swastika was a sign of auspiciousness and fertility. Hitler took it and spun it the opposite direction and co-opted it. So we're reclaiming it here. But there's a pose called swastikasana, and the legs make the swastika shape like that. And it's easier than full lotus. It's harder than just simple, easy pose, cross-legged pose. But let's try it, because if you can work towards it or get it, it really is a nice posture to sit in for meditation. So what you do is you take whatever foot you're inclined to work with first. You can try both sides. And you tuck the foot behind. You kind of lodge it in between the thigh and the calf of that other leg. And then you reach through the legs, grab the other foot, and then tuck it in between. So it's definitely asking of the ankles a lot. So I'm not expecting everyone to get that first time. Nice. So the key is to really come into it again. Like really kind of get the toes around the outer edge, and that at least gives you a chance to really lodge the foot in there more. And then grab the other foot and tuck it in. Yeah, good. Any questions? Yeah, don't over, don't do the knees too much. That's good. Yeah. Any questions? Nice. That's it.
I have jeans on.
Yeah, good. Yeah, last week you had jeans on. You learned, huh? Yeah, so like even my foot could be a little bit more, limber, but it's doing its best job here. Now try the other side. It might be easier. Try the opposite. Good, that's right. Yes, that you reach through with that hand, yeah. And then really what you do is hold the toes, more towards the toes, and then you're going to ask that ankle to bend a little bit. See how the ankle's bending? Not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, and then if you wanted to, you could take a little pillow and help yourself sit up a little bit more. But technically when it's happening, you don't need a pillow. Did you feel one side is easier than the other? Yeah. So that's swastikasana. It feels good when you lock into it, and you can hold it for a long period of time. What's that? I turned my phone off. What's going on? What? That's spam. You spammer. That is so weird. My ringer, I'm not lying, my ringer was really off. And it was ringing. That's weird. It's from Oxnard. I get a lot of Oxnard spam. Okay, good. All right, so now we're going to start with some chanting, and then we'll go into the sit. there enough light to see your chant sheets? You might need a little bit more. We okay? Okay. All right. Can we get a little more light? I don't want people to fall asleep. Keep it freezing and bright in here so people don't fall asleep. So I learned from hell no. Those things are deadening. Okay, so I don't have a chant sheet here. So what we're going to do is the goddess chant that's at the top of your chant sheet. It's to Narayani. It starts with Sharanagata. Sharana. So we'll start with that Shanana. This is the Greece. This is the Greece Dharma class where we do Greece chanting.
Right.
If I was going to do any musical, it would definitely be that. I don't like musicals, but I love Grease and Oliver. Okay, so there is an English translation below, so I won't break it down word by word. Every once in a while I do, but not tonight. So this is a chant of the goddess Narayani as the protectress of all of us who are foundering in the ocean of samsara, so to speak. So it's a turning towards the goddess, asking her for refuge, for blessings, for upliftment, for help, traversing this vast ocean, the stormy waves of karma. And so we'll do one line and you can repeat another line, repeat, and so on. And then we'll do 7 times together. And if you prefer to just listen or read the English, you can do that as well. This is Sanskrit. Sharanagata dinartha, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. expression of Narayani from more of the Buddhist angle is Tara. And this chant is to Arya Tara, the noble Tara, the Savioress, just like Narayani, provides refuge and protection, and blessings, liberation. This mantra is Om Namo Arya Tara. Om Namo Arya Tara. It's Om, I pay homage to noble Tara. Om Namo Arya 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 Tara. And now sliding into meditation. If you need to make an adjustment, you can do that. I'll sit for about 30 minutes, finding a position that feels comfortable for you. Notice the quality of your breath without changing or altering it. Just feel this natural rhythm of your own breath, unique to you. And let the exhalation encourage a melting of tension, a melting of holding, or any contrivance, whether it's physical or mental. Let yourself be natural. Let yourself be. And settling the body in its natural state, this doorway or avenue into stillness. Let the body be as still as possible, at ease. And if there has to be movement, just do so mindfully. And resting the body in its natural state, still like a mountain. The mountain has over millennia found its natural plumb line, its axis. And yet there's always a little movement with the stillness, some wind in the trees, the surface, the ocean, the flowing waters, the animals, the yang to the yin. Feel a quality of dignity suffuse you as you sit up nice and tall, but at ease. Chest is lifted, shoulders down the back. The chin drawn in ever so slightly, lengthening the space between the base of the skull and the occiput at the top of the spine. And then gently bring the tip of the tongue to rest up at the palate if it left its home base. Bring it back. The eyes can be slightly open, gazing downward, or closed. Arms relaxed, the palms down on the thighs. The belly receiving the breath like an offering. Feel the sits bones on the cushion or the earth, the stability beneath you, the ground. You're in a chair, feel the feet square on the floor. Release into the ground. And settling the speech in its natural state includes the breath, the prana, letting the breath rest in its own rhythm. If it's shallow, let it be shallow. If it's deep, let it be deep. And settle the speech in its natural state like a lute with its strings cut through in silence. Rest in silence. And settling the mind in its natural state like space. Mind is said to be vast like space, and yet it has a quality of cognizance, knowing, wakefulness. Leave the mind in its own place, its own natural stillness, limpidity, its own natural clarity. And when the mind wanders, just release with the out-breath as soon as you notice. And come back. Your breath in the body as your anchor. And rest the mind in its own natural place. Unmodified, free of grasping, free of distraction. Settle the mind in its natural state. In this way, give the mind plenty of space within which to rest. This isn't a clamping down, a tightness. Like a shepherd who lets his flock graze in vast open pastures. Let thoughts roam freely, effervescent, bubbling up and passing away. And hold that vast open plane of awareness. And when you give your mind this vast open plain in which to roam, fatigue need not be a problem. Boredom need not be a problem. Even distraction need not be a problem. Whatever appears within your field of awareness, within the body, it appears within this vast space of awareness. Rest from the vantage point of that vast, spacious awareness. Free of grasping, free of aversion. See if you can have a quality of witnessing whatever it is that arises without the ego clinging onto it, reifying it, suffering because of it. Naturally liberate clinging of its own accord. Notice it and let it go. And reestablish this vast, open, spacious quality of awareness. Free of center, free of periphery. Just rest. Saturated in awareness. Rigpa. Primordial awareness, luminous, like the sun. From time to time, check in on yourself. If you've sunken into a quality of dullness, then turn up the dial of clarity, turn up the brightness. Maybe open the eyes a little more or sit up straight, take a deep breath. On the other hand, if you spun out into agitation or excitation, turn down the dial a little bit, come to a center point, homeostasis. A deep breath can help that too, with the out breath emphasizing the exhalation, bring deeper relaxation. Not too tight, not too loose. Like tuning an instrument. Release distraction with the out breath. Enhance clarity with the in breath. And release any control and let yourself just be. Let the mind rest as it is. And now notice this mind with its outflow of perceptions. Take that outflow and turn it back in upon itself. Awareness looks back at awareness. And that act of looking diffuses that projection, the outward flow, and rest. Just rest in the after effect. Let's try again. Turn the mind back to look at mind. You find anything called the mind? What is its shape, its color, its location? Not the brain, the mind. Can you find this thing called the mind? Turn and look. Not finding anything called the mind. Release and rest. Even though there's no thing called the mind, there is a cognizance, there is a consciousness, a wakefulness. Rest in that. Rest in that. Stabilize in that. The eyes were open, close them gently and rest. It's all rest, release any technique. Just let yourself be and rest in non-meditation. Just be. So tonight's mind training instruction is pertinent to what we were just doing, that last 5 minutes or so of the meditation, where we were turning to look at the mind, right? We turn to look. It's a form of investigation, it's a form of vipassana, actually, or vipashyana in Sanskrit, which means deep insight, clear seeing. V is like extraordinary or deep, and pasana or pashyana is to see. And that's an important part of the Buddhist path. Is first you train the attention so that it's clear and stable, and then you use that clear, stable attention to investigate. Investigate who I am, who you are, what's going on out there, meaning of life. And so one of my old mentors, Alan Wallace, used to say, it's like, I'm sure he still says it, it's like a telescope. When you want to look into the heavens, you need to clean the lens so that when you look through it, it's clear. So that's the first stage of meditation. That's shamatha, calm abiding. Then the looking through, that's vipashyana. So you clean it, you prepare it, and then you look and you point it and you investigate what's going on out there, what's moving, what colors, all of the stuff. That's the vipashyana, that's the insight practice. So that's why we spend the first lion's share of each sit really grounding and stabilizing awareness. So it becomes still, like a pond that hasn't been jostled or bothered. The water becomes clear. So the mind is like that. So this 55th instruction we're going through, for those of you who are new tonight, we go through every night, every Tuesday night, we read another instruction. There are these one-liner type koans, almost, for lack of a better word, that is from a text, a Tibetan Buddhist text called the 7-Point Mind Training. Yeah, and so within the 7 points, you could also say like 7-chapter mind training. Within 7 chapters, there are multiple instructions or slogans. And we are in the final chapter, the final point, and we are on the 55th instruction. So would somebody please read that 55th instruction? Go ahead, don't be shy.
I can
Okay, please. 5-5.
Liberate yourself by examining and analyzing.
Yeah, so that's sort of what we were just getting at the last 5 minutes of the meditation. Thank you. Is trying to liberate ourselves through analyzing, investigating the mind, turning and looking at the mind. Is there something there? We kind of assume there is. But when you turned and looked, did you find? I kind of gave you the answer. I mean, but honestly, like when you turn and look at the mind, could you find something that has a color, shape, location? It's interesting, isn't it? And yet we're all here. You're there, I'm here. Materialists would say, scientific materialists would say the mind or consciousness is an epiphenomena of the brain. But is that all we are? Is that all we are? If energy can't be created or destroyed, well then when this body dies, the energy goes somewhere. Yeah, and that's one way of understanding consciousness, going from one life to the next. But what's interesting is that even though we don't find a thing called the self or the mind, there's still awareness here. There's still a quality of wakefulness, of awareness. And that is said to be like you're onto something when you tap into that. Like go there, like go into that, stabilize that. Padmasambhava says that if you notice this, that there's that quality of wakefulness, the quality of consciousness, stabilize in it. And you may even identify rigpa, awareness, which is like Buddha nature. It's our true nature. I mean, it's always here with us. It's like the air we're breathing. Awareness is always here. It's so simple, we miss it. It's so profound, we can't fathom it. So, but this instruction also points to other aspects of examining and analyzing. So what I like about the Buddhists is like Buddhism is kind of like more of a philosophy. I mean, sure, it has religious components. It's got ritual. It's also religious, but it's also very much a philosophical tradition. I mean, the Buddha didn't want to create a religion. Buddhism is an English word. Buddha Dharma means the teachings of Buddha. Hinduism, Buddhism, that's just the English making a name, trying to corral something that's very wild and unruly into an easily packaged, definable thing. So they in Buddhism or Buddha Dharma, they do a lot of logic and investigating. Like, it's not just about transcending the mind and being a vegetable or something, like they sharpen the intellect, sharpen the mind. You've probably seen in real life or in documentaries images of Tibetan Buddhist monks debating on the temple courtyard. This comes from India. Debate was a really big thing in India. Not just in the Buddhist sphere, but in the other Hindu traditions and so on. There's so many different philosophical schools. The eternalists, the nihilists, I mean, they've been there, done that. The Western philosophers, they're late to the show. And even within Buddhism, there are many different philosophical schools, and they debate each other. And what would happen is say, two different schools have a debate. Whoever would lose had to become the student of the guy who won, people who won. So, and then all of his students would have to become students of the guy who won. So there was a lot of this sort of debating, sharing of ideas, and then being like, okay, you won. You have a better system than I do. So analyzing, investigating, sharp intellect is actually the part of the path in Buddhism. And so what this instruction is saying is that we can find freedom by probing and testing out the teachings, our experiences, what people tell us, what we experience. Test it out. Check ourselves. From time to time, check in on yourself. Probe. How am I doing? Am I just going through the same motions? Am I in a rut? Do I need to shake it up a little bit? Am I stuck in my ego identity because I'm invested in this? Like, we have to learn how to be honest with ourselves so that we can grow. Because if we don't know, we can't grow, right? Yeah. So there are two main obstacles to coming to alignment with the Tao reality, One is our own ego fixation, our own kind of territorial fixation on this sense of self that needs to be right, can't be wrong, I have to be great, can't be mediocre. Or, like an inverse ego fixation is self-deprecation. It's like, I'm not good enough. It's like, I remember when I realized that is just as much ego clinging as arrogance. Is this kind of fixating on me as a piece of shit. That's also a way we cling to the self that, guess what? Doesn't even exist. Self doesn't exist. We are a bunch of we're tributaries that come together for a period of time that create a big river. And this river seems like a self. But then under deeper investigation, we see, I am the 5 elements that make up this physical form, but that's not all I am. I am perception that comes from having a physical form, but that's not all I am. I'm the feelings that this form has, but that's not all I am. I'm my karmas that cause me to like some things and not like other things, but that's not all I am. And then I'm the consciousness that grows out of all of these other things, but that's not the I. That's not all I am. So yes, I'm here, but I'm not here in the way I assume I'm here. You exist, but not in the way you think you exist. That's investigation. Test that out for yourself. Is that true? That's not nihilistic. By saying the self doesn't exist, that's the problem when people misunderstand this type of logic, is they fall into nihilism. Like, oh, well, then nothing matters. What's the use? I can commit crimes, I can even kill, I can do horrible things. If nothing really exists, then it doesn't matter. That's completely misunderstanding the point. We exist, but exist in a way that is a lot more complex than what we assume. And that's the other side of emptiness, is interdependence. We are all interdependent. So because we're interdependent, there's profound meaning to all of this. It's not meaningless. It's not nihilistic. It's actually very sacred in a beautiful way. Yeah, Suzanne.
What was the Buddha's relationship to Buddhism?
Yeah. Well, the Buddha you could say the Buddha practiced a lot of the practices that were Vedic, and so Hinduism didn't exist yet, So at the time of the Buddha, it was more like the Vedas, the teachings of these ancient texts, the Vedas that are about 3,000 years old. And there were the traditions of the shamanas, which actually is the same word as shamans, is these yogis who were practicing often austerities, extreme austerities in nature and the forests and the mountains and so on. So when the Buddha left the palace and became a wandering mendicant, he went and studied with these different Vedic practitioners who taught him their asceticisms. And he quickly mastered whatever he studied. He was like a prodigy child. And so he starved himself, he forced himself to sit for days and days on end without getting up, a lot of, I think they even would like bury their heads in the dirt, like all sorts of crazy austerities. And so he studied that stuff and he found it wasn't getting him to his ultimate goal. Like, what is the source of suffering and how do you heal from it? Well, he wanted to find out the cause of suffering and the way out. And he wasn't finding either. So that's when he left those teachers and found his way and wandered. It's a long story, but he found this way to the Bodhi tree and sat under the Bodhi tree and meditated. But yeah, so, Buddha went against the common philosophies of the time. That's why he said, my teachings go against the grain or against the stream. He said, against the stream. So against believing in a creator God, like Brahman was believed to be the creator God at that time.
They have the whole pantheon then?
Yeah. I think Shiva, Shakti, they came a bit later. I mean, Shiva is mentioned in the Vedas as the roarer, but like you don't see his name yet. You see him mentioned more in the Upanishads, which were happening around the time of the Buddha and then after that. So, yeah, it's such a complex history. Like Saraswati or Saraswati. Saraswati was mentioned in I don't remember which of the four Vedas. Maybe Rig Veda or Yajur. No, Rig Veda. I can't remember which Veda, but I think it's a Rig Veda. She was mentioned there, but she was the goddess of rain and weather and water, like the vitality of the sap within the trees. Then later she became associated with sound and speech and eloquence. So there's seeds in the earlier teachings that later became sort of different now, or different as the centuries went by. Yeah, so he preached no creator God and then no self. So no Brahman and no Atman. No Brahma and no Atman. So he was really going against the common way of thinking at that time. Atman means self, like independent self, like individual soul. And then Brahma is the creator God. He said that it's not God that's making all this happen, it's our karmas, cause and effect. It's a complex, interrelated web of cause and effect that brings all of this into being. Yeah, so back to the instruction. Where are we? Okay, so finding freedom by probing and testing. That's what we're doing. These two aspects are check in on ourselves around our ego fixation, this clinging onto a sense of self. Does it really exist? And how much trouble does it get me into when I'm like, maybe causing some ripples by being self-centered in some situations and so on, like really checking in on ourselves. And then also the other aspect is to check in on our disturbing emotions or afflictive emotions that often really come from that core misunderstanding of who we are, the core delusion. So what the commentaries say is the idea is that it's important to really look into these two aspects, these two patterns, the ego clinging and then our afflictive emotions, namely like hatred, anger, craving, clinging, jealousy, competitiveness, arrogance, pride, and then ignorance. These are the 5 core afflictive emotions. So what's interesting about mind training is that we actually go into the places that scare us to develop a kind of capacity to handle things when they come our way. So a lot of us assume that meditation is just about being chill and relaxing, quieting, emptying the mind, being peaceful. But in many forms of meditation, the practitioner will be instructed to go meditate in a charnel ground and meditate on impermanence and death. Or notice when desire comes up and look into the nature of desire and see that it's just an arising and passing, and it's not a thing called desire that has to take over you completely, that it's empty of solidity. So we're turning towards these aspects of ourselves that we might normally want to turn away from. And then developing a capacity to be with it, learn from it, and heal it and integrate it, because it's energy. These things are energy. These things give us insights. And so in this slogan, what they say is to actually think of something or someone that bothers you and then look into it. Like, is there a sense of me? Like, oh, I hate that person. Oh, there's the I. And then the whole flood of emotions that come from that. And then witness that. What do you do with that? What is your tendency when that comes up? And then can you rewire? Can you retrain yourself to be more spacious with that? To see it as arising and passing, not something that's permanent or solidly existing. So if we're always avoiding unpleasant realities, then we can't grow. And this manifests in our social relationships as well as in our internal dynamics. So we need to train up through exposure therapy. You know what exposure therapy is? It's a real therapeutic technique of, say somebody has a fear of flying. Well, exposure therapy would very slowly and carefully get you ready to go on a flight. Maybe you would just go to the airport and watch airplanes land and take off for a while. Then the next time you might go peek in an airplane and then get off before you take, slowly getting to the point where you can face this fear and not have it control your life. So we can think of our afflictive emotions and our ego cleaning, like fear of flying or some kind of phobia or something that's blocking us from experiencing freedom in our life. And so let's just do a little experiment here. Let's drop in these last few minutes, just a couple minute meditation where we're going to practice this. Just sit up, find a meditative seat, take a couple breaths. And then bring to mind something that gets a rise out of you. Then notice. Is there a heightening of emotionality? And remember, the mind training is gentle, so it doesn't need to be like the 10 level of irritation. It can be something a little bit more ordinary. Something that irritates you. Bring it into mind. And then notice if there's a heightening of emotionality, an arising of a kind of maybe frozen or solid self-regard, or I statement. And try to stay with that experience. And then examine it in depth. Probe into it as a mental, bodily, emotional sensation. Turn to look at it. And then notice how much we suffer when we have these thoughts of I, me, mine. See if you can loosen that and loosen the projection. And see this as a wave on the surface of a vast ocean that's much bigger than just this temporary part of you. The destructive patterns, they thrive on being hidden. That is what allows them to maintain their power. But if you're brave enough to arouse these powerful forces, to confront them, to look at them, examine them, then you can begin to free yourself from their control. So the irony is that in order to develop peace, maturity, liberation, we need to be willing to stir things up. So now slowly open your eyes. And then I'll just end with this last piece, which is, in the mind training, for those of you who've been coming a lot over the last months, you know that we've been practicing taking everything onto the path of liberation, right? Everything, the joys, the sorrows, our beloveds, and the people who irritate us. They're all our teachers. So like Atisha, the founder of this particular way of practicing, he taught that we should consider our so-called enemies as more precious than the Buddhas, because they help us learn about ourselves and help us learn patience. It's so contradictory. These teachings are always so brilliant to me because they always turn us on a dime, like, oh, right, that makes sense. So when you encounter people who rile you up, who irritate you, can you in the moment go, thank you? Even if you can't say it out loud, like think, okay, this is a gift. It's really making me examine my mind right now. Yeah. We never know. We never know what opening is going to come when we have a challenge. And I'm not saying roll over and play dead when somebody's bullying you or something. Of course, it's time to say, shut up, stop. And maybe that was the gift they gave you. It's an opportunity to set a boundary, right? So only you know. Only you know. Yeah. Okay. Well, we are at time. Maybe one person, any observation? Anything that came from that little moment of like getting riled up and then looking into it? Did you have the sense of the I thought? I? Or the constriction around the self, the I? I don't like that. I'm suffering. I was wronged. No? Anyone? Yeah?
I noticed there was more fear than anger when I sat with it, but it was still very
Yeah.
driven fear.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then how did it feel to give it some space and look into it?
Challenging.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, but I'll
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
a little bit better. There's certainly a ripple effect of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a new angle on it, right? You get a slightly new angle, maybe.
Yeah.
Then you can maybe do it a little more the next time. And you're like, okay, right. Like that's a familiar reaction to that story. Maybe I don't need to react in that same way all the time. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Let's take a moment and drop in. We'll dedicate the merit for the benefit of all beings. So this is a common way to end a practice, which is to, at the end, close with a feeling of generosity. That whatever goodness has come from our collective practice and study, examination, meditation, whatever goodness has come from this collective practice, may it release into space and be donated up for the welfare of all beings. Like a drop of water releasing into the vast ocean of positive energy, it becomes limitless. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alembic, for all you do to give us a home to practice in. And Sam, thank you. And everybody else for volunteering. If you could help us by putting your cushions away, you can see the pattern there. I'll sit up here for a few minutes if you want to introduce yourself or ask questions. Enjoy tea out in the lobby too.
Thank you for everything.
You're welcome. Thank you for everything. Kristen, yeah. Kristen.
Cool down. Cool down.
Hi, thank you.
Good to see you.